Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another. You know what? Just welcome to another episode of Darachat. I know, it's a bit of a one, but we had technical issues, so here we are. Anyway, I got to bring up my guest, and boom, there he is. Look at him.
What's up?
There he is, right there.
How you doing?
So I'm using
Thanks for
the.
having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I'm using the last resort, which is Brave Call, which I can just do this whole thing. He can see both ends. Like this is the most craziest thing I've ever saw. why why is this working like that? It's like, well, it just cause. Hey, Phoenix. Well, thank you for coming on, Reconrat. I gotta ask though the name. How did that come to be?
Reconrat.
Reconrat.
Well, so I did convoys out in Iraq. We're kind of route reconnaissance.
Mm.
So, kind of, tunnel rats back in Vietnam. They're kind of always there. They tunnel around and find stuff. That's kind of what we were. We were just kind of out there searching for stuff. We hit it. We hit it. we find it before. Awesome. But that's where kind of the name comes from. Did route reconnaissance out in Iraq. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I kind of get the recon part, but what branch? What branch?
Army.
Army.
Yeah.
I've worked with, some from the Army. I think it was Marines. There was a gentleman I worked with the Marines. I've also talked to other military personnel on here, so you're not the only one. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
There's a lot of them on Rumble, so a lot of good guys. Araconda, all those guys.
Yeah.
Recon Tech.
Yeah.
He's Air Force too. He's on here a lot.
Patty's
Around Rumble.
Yeah, Patty's Parlor Games is another one. I'm trying to think. I think that's pretty much. Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't know if Poot was one or not. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, it's very interesting when you start opening yourself up to others to just chat with them. I'm like, oh, so there's more to this. Like it's like that expression from Shrek. You know, the layer of onions.
Oh yeah.
It's like there's more layers underneath the layers. But I enjoy all the same because you never know, and the wide variety of talent I've talked to is just not like talent, like say like some stupid stupendous thing where they're in charge of multi-billions of dollars. No, it's just like, yeah.
I'm nowhere near that. Yeah, you're right.
Wouldn't that be nice? Yes, everyone, here you go. Yeah. Flush. No, but I have talked to a lot of people who are very talented. A lot of tech people, a lot of people who've done editing or stuff like that. All this stuff. Some of them aren't even military either, but it's very interesting to do that. And I'm guessing that the background is not a real background, or is it?
No. I wish. I do have lots of firearms, but not this organized and nice. I don't have a room.
It's almost like walking to someone's personal palace, and all of a sudden, it's like, oh, so you're one of those people.
This is what I'd like to have someday.
That almost looks like the room from John Wick, where it's just like,
oh yeah, it's like any of those big YouTuber gun tubers. They always have like this big room they walk into, and they just pick one off the wall. It's like
yeah, and you're just like,
that was true.
I'm home.
Yeah.
Don't touch. I'm home. I think the interesting ones are the ones who like they make like a hidden library sort of thing where it's like, oh, here's a gun safe. Yeah. And you go in, it's like, this is not just a gun safe.
I mean, that'd be better. That's even better. Yeah.
There's a YouTuber I follow who makes those underground bunkers. It's like his business, right? And he kind of shows off.
Nice.
He went to one in like Switzerland, and all this people pay $500,000 of dollars just to have him do a bunker, and to see that sort of thing. And they some of them have gun safes, and there was one I saw where it was going to have a shooting gallery inside it, and I was like,
nice.
That's going to be like a lot of holes.
I think one not too long ago was in the news up in Canada. This guy had a couch, and the couch would actually go up, and he'd walk down, and he actually had a 1-lane shooting range. You could shoot down there, but all the stuff was illegal, so he got arrested. But he hid it that way. It was underneath the couch actually, and it just flipped up.
Well, yeah,
very interesting.
Yeah, and it's Canada too. So it's like
maybe it's Australia. Maybe it's Australia, I think.
Either way, you're still in trouble. It's like, you want to own some guns, it's not going to work that way. Oh, man. But no, there was actually a gentleman, Alpha Zero Gaming, Omega, who's telling me that you can still get guns in Australia, but they make the road to it so difficult that it doesn't make it worth it. There's no point in going for a gun. And for me, I mean, that's like, I don't have a gun or whatever, but I'm not going to take it away from you. But the thing of it is, like, you have a place like Australia whose country is, they're basic. I mean, started out as a prison colony, and now it's a sort of thriving. Think of that. Started out as a prison colony, now it's a thriving community, a country, and they're just like, gotta find an uninhabited island and dump all the prisoners on that. Let's see how.
It is their social experiment back in the day, I guess.
Well, yeah, early 1500s, that would be a definite experiment, but I don't want to know who tried that one. But I mean, the edges of Australia, where majority of the people live, the interior is just a barren wasteland, and I'm like, wow, that's rough. It's really rough.
I actually have one guy from Australia that comes in my stream, and he actually has a 338 Lapua sniper rifle, and he lives in Australia, and he was telling me the prices and like just outrageous how hard it was to get something out,
Yeah. They just make it a at this point they might as well put one of those military challenge courses up. It's like, you got to do this challenge in order to get a gun. Really? I don't have a good enough heart for this. I'm like, oh.
Obstacle course is part of the
it's
paperwork.
Yeah, you want the gun, you got to earn it, and then you're just like, this really? it's my given right. Now, I didn't have to sign up for this. This is a given right. This is like test me if you can 101. But I mean, some places like the UK, obviously the UK is just hampering themselves with that sort of thing.
But you can have like I guess a long blade. They had that on the news the one time. You can have like a samurai sword, but you can't have a gun or a certain kind of knife. But you can have like this big long blade.
Yeah, so it's like you could have a sword, but you can't have a gun. It's like, but I think the bad guy is gonna still have a gun though. No. There are rules in place for that not to happen. But he still has a big gun over there. I think that's a tank he has. I think he has a tank. Yeah. No. They'll follow the rules. It's like, you don't understand how rules work, do you? I think people forget a lot that so we'll just stick with a two-side scenario, right? So you have one side that makes rules, limits guns, and says you can't have certain types of weaponry. Okay. Other guy says on the other side, screw you. I'm going to take you all out with whatever I can do. And they do. And so the other side says, well, we made these rules. They should have followed them. Like the guy who has, it's like that saying that Theodore Roosevelt said. It's like the guy with the bigger stick, I'm sorry to tell you, bad guys don't listen to rules. They do not care. And we kind of, and other countries kind of, and especially with us, we kind of hamper ourselves with this sort of ridiculousness, thinking, oh, they'll follow the rules. You don't realize how dumb that sounds.
Yeah. Criminals don't follow rules. So that's why they're criminals, right?
Oh my gosh, wait a second. Is that like an epiphany or something? I feel like I woke up.
I know. Shocking.
Oh. And then but it's not just with guns, though. It's with anything else. People will have a bigger chunk of power, because basically we could whittle down the politics, whatever, but at the end of the day, though, it's power. The basic line of everything at a certain point is power. Because why? Because a CEO has power over his employees until the employees rise up and you have someone hanging from the gallows. That's not
it's all about power. It's just a power play, man. It's so we can't rise up and fight back. I mean, that's all it is. And that's why our forefathers put it in there.
Well, and it's between other people as well, whether it be between you and government or between you and your neighborhood. There is no different. At a certain point, there's no differentiation with. It's just a bigger group, right?
Yep.
You have a singular person with power, or you can have a group of. What is mob rule? I think it's what it's called. But people tend to forget that those who grasp for power and get it, or at least, have enough of a scenario where they can do a lot of damage, they do not care about the rules, because the rules are they're like that scene in
they're for you, not for me. That's how they view it.
Well, it's like that thing in the Pirates of the Caribbean where they did like the pirate rules, and it's like they're more like guidelines.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and it's just when you kind of listen to other people, and it's like you have to understand, you could have someone who's in high authority, or believed a sense of high authority, and they can walk over our own rules here and just say, nah, it's just paper and ink. It's really not worth much. And it's just then what, right? It's a silly thing, but it's a silly enough thing that people, I feel like, because I'm not political by any nature, is that
sounds like you are.
No, I really don't care. I really don't care, to be honest. It's more of taking that aspect of, you can talk a lot, you can complain a lot, but what are you really doing to change the lot, right?
Yeah.
It's that saying, be the change you wish to see in the world, that sort of scenario. And no, I really don't care about the political thing, because it for me, as someone who's growing up, your parents usually tell you just vote, do all that stuff, and you're sort of in that limbo stasis of not learning on your own of all these things, all these rules that came before you, right? Because all that stuff that's now has been years and years and years and years and years of other people making the rules, doing all this stuff. You weren't involved in those processes. You are an afterthought. Actually, you weren't even a thought at all. You are just part of whatever the afterthought is. And so when you come to the point where you're alive and you can make change or do whatever, and you learn about the system and how at a certain point it's a frivolous, it gets tossed around, people of power just chew it like bubble gum and spit it out, it becomes this weird thing. Like, then what's the point? What's the point if someone of more status or power or whatever can just walk all over the rules? And what are the rules for? Well, to a big chunk is not to be the Wild West, because there'd be a lot of people dead.
Yeah, that would not be good. Not be good. I've seen mass chaos, and it usually does not end well.
No.
For anybody.
And I sometimes find those like apocalyptic movies funny to a degree, right? There's some that kind of portray it well, but the ones it's like you don't understand you'd have more of a maybe Mad Max-ish sort of world, rather than just have these different factions like was it The Walking Dead? I'm sure there'd be people trying to make communities, but at a certain point, stuff breaks down. Down. And you're just like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, people can't trust people, and it just becomes mass chaos. And good people turn bad, It's just not good. It's just not good. It's not how we're supposed to be made. It's just evil way to live,
Well, it's a very what's the word? It's very destructive at its base.
Oh yeah.
Because you're just it's like the Ouroboros, right? The snake eating its own tail. After a while, there is nothing left but the head, and that's not even good. But going off that tangent, why did you start making content?
I started playing. This is way back, man. Doom, Wolfenstein, the very first ones ever made when I was a kid. About junior high, I had 56K dial-up internet. I started playing Novologic's Delta Force, and from there, I just loved first-person shooters.
Nice.
I played the whole series, and they're actually coming out with a new one, so I'm super psyched. It's a different company that bought it, but it looks like they kind of took some of the aspects of it. I'm excited about it. Nice. But I just like streaming and interacting with the community. I get to sit down here and come and play single-player games all day. I like interacting. I like the interaction. I like making a community where somebody can come in and just have a good time. You get to know them. Like Haircuts, he's one of my favorites in there. He's always there. He's from the great North Canada, so I always give him a hard time. So I always got to throw that jab in there at him.
Yeah.
But he's a cool dude. He likes history like me. I love history, military history.
Nice.
Love that. So if you go on our Discord, he makes models. So I love like just dealing with the community. I made him his own channel. He can post up his model pictures.
Nice.
It's awesome. He does old military airplanes and armor.
Nice.
I love interacting and just having that, and I hope it can grow. It took off on Rumble compared to the other platforms. I mean, Rumble just kills everything that in its tracks, for me at least. But I just love the community here is so much tighter than any other. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, part of it is because it's still small. I mean, compared to YouTube and Twitch, which have been around for much longer, they are much bigger over time because of all the, well, one is time, right? Time to get where it's at, and two, resources, right? Because we all know YouTube is just Google at its core. It's just Google, and Twitch is just, I believe at this point, just Amazon, because it's owned by Amazon. And so, and so it's just sort of this thing, like right now, things are great, things are good. But as time goes on, I'm not sure I can say the same, because Rumble's eventually, either Rumble grows to be better success, which is the future I look towards, or it will fall and it will die. And I think, it's great that the community gives feedback, and then that the people at Rumble give feedback to that, because the updates and whatnot, that whether it be Rumble Studios, Rumble Cloud, or all this stuff, the synergy and the ecosystem of it can work well. And don't get me wrong, whether you like Apple or not, the ecosystem that it built is what keeps it continuing today, because response from the Mac Pro to your iPhone to all this stuff, right? And if Rumble can build their own ecosystem in a way that works for them, I have no doubt that will help build it to the success it needs to be. Because right now, people still have some issues, and that's going to be the thing. Like, I know people want on a console. I know they just submitted their Xbox app. I know they just submitted it. But people want PS5. There's still more TVs. Tons of growing. It's just a time and financial factor. It always is. Right? But for me, a while back, when they started giving contracts to these different people like Sneeko, Rice Gamal and stuff, I felt like it was kind of I understand why they do it from a business point, even though I'm not a business person, but I understand at a business point, you kind of need more eyes. You get well-known people and all this stuff.
You want to bring their people over to your platform. I get it. Yeah. It's a numbers game at the end of the day too.
It always will be. But at the end of the day, they were sort of waffling. There were sort of people that were skimmers, right? People would watch them there, and then they would just go. They'd never come back. And but now they've there's some kind of like the quartering. It's a big proponent. They have given. I don't know if they've given any to any gun tubers, but I know that there's a gentleman I follow called Neurotics, that they've given him sort of a contract to bring like pop culture stuff over, because the big issue with Rumble is politics. And of course it is the election season and all that stuff, so that's going to be whatever it is. But at the end of the day, Rumble still has that issue, but they're working on it.
And that's a double-edged sword too. That brings a lot of people over, for politics, but at the same time, it drives a lot of people away from it too. They don't want that. They want the other content that doesn't have anything to do with that, or have those people associated with, around them. So I get it, but when they're bringing those people over that they're there for the money and not necessarily the message or the brand itself. That's where the issue comes in. You could see it happen. I mean, as soon as, or they wouldn't even finish their contract, or as soon as it's finished, they're gone. They're not doing it anymore. So I think, it was good to get some eyes, but I think they learned their lesson on, hey, I got to vet people a little bit more, probably, to see if they're really truly for the platform and not just there for the paycheck and then out.
Yeah. And I think that kind of translated into the partner program a bit as well, which was kind of a mess up to begin with. But um, I it's a mixed bag of things, because there's a lot of things that Rumble does that other platforms in a way don't, but the tech stuff is a bit different, right? Tech updates, because again, right now YouTube is still the king of platform. Sorry to say, it's just part of it is time, and part of it is Google resources. Unfortunately, you look at Google, and like, that's a lot of resources. I can't even see the end of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how big they're getting. They're eating up everything. So
yeah, and you've got to, you kind of imagine, like, well, that's sort of like the David Goliath thing. But I do believe I've invested in the stocks and stuff. I believe in the possible future that Rumble can present. Is just there has to be an equilibrium, which is difficult in its own right, right? Like, even for a content creator to create a equilibrium, there's always going to be that difficulty. But for Rumble, it's going to have to be a thing, and they're trying to, the recommendation engine, getting other people, contract people that aren't just one thing or another. They're bringing more than just politics or just eyes to just vanish after. So
I know they're pushing music. That was their next thing. They're going to really push for more music. They kind of went gaming, then they kind of are pushing more music again. So we'll see where it goes and who they can bring over, or if it takes off, who knows?
And my thing was too with the gaming faction is that it was starting to look like a bit like the politics tab, because everyone was seeing, the politics and all politics, whatever. But then you add gaming to it. They're trying to grow it and all stuff, and it's like politics and gaming. And I was like, okay, but that's still not enough for what people want. There's a lot of other stuff too, and it's just like you don't want gaming turning into the politics tab where it's just all gaming all the time.
People tailored their content towards what was popular on Rumble, trying to draw more viewers from that instead of trying to bring, viewers from other platforms. That maybe wasn't politic driven. A lot of them aren't. I don't see anything else. You see in Rumble's gaming, there's politics playing in a little bit more, but other platforms you really don't see too much bleed over all that much unless it's drama. They always got to have the drama.
I in all honesty, I could give a rat's behind about content creator drama, and the reason is because let's put it this way: you cut off both your hands and you say I'm fine, and you're not fine, and you hinder yourself in all this turmoil. Now, obviously, if a clarification needs to be made, if something needs to be cleared up, fine, do that. That's great. That needs to happen. After that, walk away. You need to be like a ghost. You either need to go back to making your content or you disappear for a while, because I'm telling you what, no matter what the platform is, doesn't matter where it's at, what level the content creator drama is BS. Up and down the board. I'm sorry to tell you, kids, you got to stop it. You're all when I see, right, and I'm an adult too, and I've fallen into some stuff, so I will admit that. But when I see a bunch of adults or people who call themselves adult, right, and they go into this drama feature, right, because it's whatever gets the clicks, views, whatever, I say, who's still the adult here? Right? Like I don't see the adults anymore. I just see a bunch of people bickering because they either need clicks, views, or some other thing. Someone wronged them, whatever. If someone wronged you, make it do some private manner or whatever. But if you're not going to get any forgiveness or whatever, walk away, because your life is you have a finite amount of time and you're wasting it. You're wasting it.
Yeah, but some do it for the clicks, like you said. Some get immediately on there and fire back at them, to start something. So then people start talking about it and sharing it, and and it's just I don't get into that. Any of that.
It's the art of letting go, right? There's a time and place where you have to defend yourself. There's a time and place where you have to clarify things, but let it go.
I don't think some people can, though. I think they just get so worked up and they feel like they gotta say something, or nobody can. I don't want anybody to think this way about me, so they just and some can't handle it. some people aren't going to like you. It's just the way the world is, and you got to accept that.
Yeah. I've been there. I've maybe had one or two people, or maybe I don't like one or two people just because of a feeling, whatever. But I don't go to them and scream and yell at. I don't go old man at the cloud, yelling at the cloud sort of thing. I just walk away because when we'll take what happened this weekend, right? When you get reminded of your mortality, arguments, anger, all that stuff will fly out the window because you don't get a second chance for all this silliness, right? Because life can be silly, life can be fun, life can be joyous. There's a lot of things that life can offer. But once the flame goes out, once the curtain closes, you don't get that time back. And you can say, well, I at least did something, I helped some people or whatever. Or you can say, I argued a lot with a bunch of other people because I was right and they were wrong. It's like, no, you just were an idiot.
Yeah, but it's funny you say that because that was the first thing I took away from kind of being in Iraq. I came back to the States and like I'd see somebody, family or somebody arguing over something stupid. And I'm like, what are you guys arguing about? You're not getting almost blown up. You're not getting shot at. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm like, why are you freaking out? But then it tends to wear off. The longer you're out of that situation, you start falling into the same trends as them though too.
Yeah.
So, but it's funny you say that because I thought the same exact thing when I came back from Iraq. I was like, what do you got? I'm a pretty chill guy.
Yeah.
So when somebody I was like, man, you guys got it. What are you even arguing about right now?
Yeah.
Let's just have fun. Let's go eat,
Yeah. I mean, I imagine a chunk of people who come back from any scenario of war, there's going to be a form of what they used to call shell shock, because taking a life for some is easier than others, but for others it's not, because when you are the one who visually sees the blood on your hands, right? When you can visually see it, a lot of people can handle that, and sometimes there are accidents that happen, right? Just on the civilian level, right? Because all the rights and stuff, but there are times where in a military fashion, when you're sent up to kill, it's you're not gonna. Some people just don't come back from that. And there was a movie I saw a long time ago. It was Hacksaw Ridge. Was about the gentleman who was the first consciential.
Conscientious, yeah.
It's a tough word to say. It's a
conscientious, yeah.
Conscientious
objector, yeah.
objector, yeah. And that was a funny thing because when you go into the military, I mean, there are some placations of positions where you don't even see war, right? You be pencil pusher and all this stuff. The funnier one is the MASH, right? Because my mom introduced me to MASH, and there was
MASH,
and it was always funny seeing characters like Radar, and then you have like Klinger.
Oh yeah, there's people like that though. Those kind of characters you can almost, if you've ever been like in a unit, you're like, that's kind of like him.
Yeah.
They all have kind of traits of you could tell it was made by somebody that had a little background in working in groups.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, of course we know that the Korean War was, please actually recall, it was 3 years, but the show went on for like 11 years, and it's just it showed it had a potential of what it was. It just felt like it went on a little too long. But the idea is to kind of give some idea of what it was like, even though it's much worse at times, much worse. All you see actors, you see fake blood or whatever, but when you're really into it, it's not something to be movie wise, because you can't put you can't from a movie to real life, you can't put the same emotion on, because there's no way unless you're there.
No, it's totally different being there. Definitely, I don't think there is a way you could probably recreate it the same way. I mean, you'd have to literally put your life on the line to get that feeling. I mean, no movie's gonna do it justice. You can come pretty close. Be like, man, that was, but not the true feeling.
No, and that's why I think, again, with earlier with that some people come back with that, because it's almost. I mean, I know in a way that the army or the military branches try to teach you compartmentalization, compartmentalization, right? Where you compart things or whatever, and sort of its own box. But it's just one of those things where um, not well, some people can, and then it just breaks, or some people can and just goes into dust, whatever.
They try to ingrain the training in it, so it's muscle memory instead of you thinking, "What do I do?" And then it goes bad from there. So if you're just already reacting to what's happening, you're a lot better than without thinking. If you start thinking about stuff too much, that's when you'll get in trouble. For sure.
Yeah, it's a death between you or the other person, and everything is based on microseconds. You just especially when you've got like mortars and tank shell fires and all those things, all those bigger things that can fire after you. And I'm not saying I know of any military other than of discussions I've had with others, but because there's some funny stories too, like Patty's probably told me one of where he was allergic to the air freshener, and some of the other people had like air fresheners, kind of like, come on guys, you gotta quit that, I'm allergic, and all that stuff. But you kind of, it's sort of like those moments of MASH where they did hit a dramatic moment, and you're like, that's just awful. And that's like you said, that's as close as you'll get to something at least of similar status, but not to it. And so, but for you, I'm not sure, like, what is your placation? Where was your mindset on that part? I mean, did you come back and have to go to therapy, or did you come back and you're like,
no, I really went into the mindset if I'm a little, I believe in God, so my religion came into it a big part. If I die, I die. Is meant to be. I kind of went in with that mentality, and I think it helped me quite a bit. Some people don't have that background or that belief, and I think that really messes them up, or doesn't help. I went in with faith and stuff, so I was a little bit better on handling that kind of stuff. I was a medic over there for 4 years active duty and 18 years reserve as a medic. So we did combat logistic patrols, and where you see people really tested is when somebody gets hurt.
Yeah,
that's where you see not necessarily contact, or sometimes when you see contact, but most of the time when somebody gets hurt, if they freeze or not. I had 2 guys freeze up on me while I was working on somebody, and I was asking them was open this IV bag for me, and they couldn't do it. So even trained people, when they see something they've never seen before or felt stuff they never even run into, even those guys will freeze up. So I was out with a different group each time. Unfortunately, most of the time I was kind of with whoever needed a medic to do convoys.
Right.
So I didn't get to train with the same guys. I didn't know kind of the same guys. After a while you did, because we had like maybe 4 or 5 groups that we went out with. But it's kind of scary too as a medic. You don't know the guys. You don't know who's good, who's not good. You gotta get a feel by talking to some of the people, but you didn't. So yeah, I mean, I was always good. Luckily, I never had an issue. But I went into the military also wanting to do that.
Right.
So I think your mindset going into it is probably half the battle.
Right.
If you're already ready for it. If you're not ready for it, you're gonna have a hard time. Or if you go in because you don't want to do it, and then I'm just there, you're gonna have a hard time. So that's kind of my experience.
Yeah, and that makes perfectly sense, because it's all at a certain point. It is all about mindset, because when you're in a war, like I said, you're in the war zone. You're down to the milliseconds of just the reaction and action, and it's kind of suck. It in a sense it does kind of suck, because you are, as you said, you go based on muscle memory, because the enemy can be anyone, anywhere, at any time. And unfortunately, that's the case with almost anything in life. Oh no! Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you for coming by, and I hope to see you again. Hope you enjoy the rest of your night. But yeah, I'm always in a sense fast. That's why I do this, right? Because I don't know the other person. it's not like it'd be family, whatever. But it's always nice to, there's no barbecue. You're coming over later today with your family reunion. That's not gonna. Oh, I remember you. But it's always nice to be able to get that opportunity, because my perspective in doing this was getting up others' perspective, right? Because a lot of content creators out there making different budgets of content, whether it be a comedy, all this stuff. And it was just like, but it feels limited. And there's probably some people doing it in the same style I'm doing it. I just didn't see within the section of like, you could say Joe Rogan was doing it, but he's not really talking to people on this level, like the ground floor level. He's usually talking about people around a higher status, which for me is like, it's not the same. And maybe there's some people I don't get either, but at the end of the day, when coming into this, I didn't think I'd be here doing this, right? Like I'm pretty sure when you did the gaming faction, I didn't think you would come and stay and do the gaming faction. There's always something that comes along your way. It's like, I actually may do that thing.
Yeah. I think you got to follow what your passion is and what you enjoy. Yeah. If it takes you away from what you originally were doing, but you enjoy it, maybe you're not as popular or whatever. I think you got to do what you enjoy, because that's where you make the best content. Is what you enjoy. And I kind of did that with following games. Like, oh, I got to play Call of Duty because everybody's playing Call of Duty. Everybody wants to see it. And I was like, you know what? I'm not enjoying the atmosphere of Call of Duty or the company itself.
Right.
So let's go do something I enjoy, which are the more military simulators, which aren't action packed all the time. They're kind of slow, a little slower. But at the same time, I was like, well, then I can talk to people more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We can have fun. We can joke around. I can get to know them a little bit more. Yeah, it's not action packed every 2 seconds. But when you do get into like some firefights, they're probably some of the best firefights that you can get in gaming. So there's a double-edged sword. And I think you got to do what you enjoy.
Yeah. Well, and this other thing too is, right, as an adult, you can get, people can give you advice, but you're not really sure on where you're supposed to go, right? I mean, you joined the military because you had a feeling of joining it and all the stuff that comes with it. But when you're trying to find a thing in life, right, the thing you want to do sort of for the rest of your life sort of thing, it's sort of like being a guy in the fog with a lantern, and you're just trying to find where your stuff is at. And so for me, it's like, I know I've made pre-recorded videos, and I moved to streaming, and I was like doing gaming. I did pre-recorded videos of talking like movie reviews or whatever. But then it was like, when I hit on the conversational stuff, I was like, that's it. That's the thing. Because how is it that me, a nobody, I mean, my numbers, if you want to go by my numbers, a nobody can get, for the past 8 months, 80 plus different people on to talk about whatever? Like, I usually, some take almost like half a year or a whole year to even get that, because they do like once a week or whatever. I'm doing almost one every day, and I'm like, why isn't anyone doing this? Because there's so many people out that if you look, so Rumble's connected to millions and YouTube is connected to billions. Those are the two platforms I go to. Maybe more later on, but that's all I can handle right now. I only have enough brain power, but I also have a full-time job. But it was like, why isn't there someone like this? I followed content creators, let's say Nerdrotics and Geeks and Gamers and all this stuff, but they have the niche, and that's fine. You choose what works well for you. But it was like, I want to do this thing where the field's so open wide that I'm not constrained by any topic at all. Like, I don't know much about military, but gosh darn it, the other person does, and there's a conversation there. Or one who makes games, like Squishy Banana yesterday, who's making his own game after being working for others over a period of time.
That's very cool.
Or talking to someone like Tomby, who's sort of a very IT type person, has his own business in IT, but he's using it to promote smaller creators and whatnot. I do mine with my pay it forward streams, but at the end of the day, there's buddy.
They're not real.
It's not.
I do have a bunch of weapons, but it's a background. I do have a bunch of weapons. They're not set up as cool as this, though.
Yeah. That's more just like it's a wishing moment. This is what I wish would be.
This is the grand master plan. I don't have this much money.
Neither do I. But yeah, it's a fascination that I've come to this point where I'm like, I'm doing all this stuff. Now, I haven't talked to everyone I'd like to talk to or have that access, because again, I am, like we're both at this level where it's sort of like you do with what you have. But I'm always fascinated about who I can have on, and I'm not constrained to one side or the other. I can go basically anywhere. I'm like reading Rainbow. I can go anywhere.
That's it, man. You got to do what you enjoy, what you want to do. And I think you'll make the best content. Sean Ryan, he started off, he's big now, but he started off just interviewing military guys you probably never even heard of, like, and their stories, and then he got big. People like that kind of stuff. So, and he did good interviews. So you kind of remind me of him, because you're starting just with like, random people's stories, and people like hearing that. I think there's a big opportunity there for you.
Yeah, and there was before I did all this, there was a thought of, there's a like documentaries or whatever, people go with the camera, but I was like, there are a lot of people out there who never get talked to at all. Now, maybe they're not the most beautifulest person, maybe they're not the smartest person, but they have their own personal story. Maybe there's similarities, maybe there's same path another person took, but just imagine, right? There's some 75-year-old gentleman out there, single, has a family, you don't know, and he's never had an opportunity to say, oh, there's Steve has something for you. Thought he had a huge arm in the background there. Go on. No,
hopefully my war days are behind me, man. So
yeah, we don't want to be at that point. But you just have this. You just have to imagine there's because a majority of the time in our lives, right? You are not worried about the family in South Africa. They have no consequence to you, and yet they exist. The person in there's somebody in the UK, there's somebody in well, there's somebody in Canada, but there's more people in Canada. There's other
haircuts.
There's Norway, China, all these places. There are people in other countries all over the world, and you have no notion or no caring about them. Why? Because you have your own life, right? You have your community, you have your own personal family, all this stuff. All your bandwidth is to them. And so for me, it's like, why isn't there someone going out there to just find people, right? Find people who are willing to come on camera, right? Because you want, or be willing to at least share their voice or whatever, and go, and all that stuff. Why isn't there someone like that? Because you have to imagine there's what, 300 and something, 330 million people in the US. Well,
yeah,
give or take the illegal stuff. But you have all these people, right? And probably a big chunk of them are children, so you can count that out, or teenagers, whatever. But you have a chunk of people who are 18 and older. What are their perspectives? What are the thoughts on the world around them? Because everyone has a different environment. Some are similar, some are not.
Absolutely. Different upbringing, different how they see things.
Yeah.
It's just such a wide array.
Yeah. Maybe he's off to go. No.
No, I'm not going to go fight for Ukraine, man.
Not a chance.
No,
but
not here, buddy.
But there's a thing where there's a personal pain. Maybe they finally want to share, or something to get off them, or something deep within, or whatever. And it don't everyone has to have something deep. They don't have some deep, profound thing. They could just be surface level thing, but they get an opportunity. They get a spotlight once in their life, and that's sort of immortalized, right? Because platforms can take the video down, all that stuff. But there's a moment where someone gets the spotlight on them, and they thought they never would, and in that moment, they get to share a bit of their life. Whether it comes back again or not, that's a different story. But just imagine how someone feels when finally, in a moment, they're like, I didn't think I was worth being talked to. And I've had that. I've had that happen a few times where someone says, why are you talking to me? I'm a nobody. I'm like, that's the point, though.
That's it all in their mind, though. You know what I mean? That shows you kind of their self-worth. I mean, you got to have, you're somebody, man. I don't care who you are. You're somebody. And I mean, it's common ground to want to learn and talk. If you're a decent human being, I don't mind talking to you.
Yeah.
I want to know about you. That's why I like the community I have, man. Right now, we got awesome guys that come in and we share stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What we doing day to day, what projects you're working on. While I'm gaming. I mean, out of all things, but I think that's what it's all about, man. That's why I like the dynamic of being able to talk to people.
Yeah. Same here. It's just there's still the friction of, people will look at your numbers, people will look at your following or whatever, and they'll say, well, he doesn't have what's needed for me to even go my way. I'm like, that's a very low. I get it, right? Because all these people have spent their time getting to where they're at, and their time is valuable as well. But I'm like, that's such a low brow, and only once. All I need is once, right? If it never happens again, that's life. But all I need is once to have a moment to share the crossing of paths, right? And then someone, oh,
come on.
Uh-oh.
My daughter, you saw somebody come through the.
It was we still see you.
We still see you. Run away.
That's all right. She was trying to tell Dad.
I usually don't stream at this time. So she walked in and she was with a friend, so she didn't know.
And it's like supper time. Dad is like, you're busy here. Come on.
I already did that. Made burgers for them. They're good.
That's good. That's good. And I know you said you're going on at what 10 your time is
10 Central.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I game usually at night, so I can spend the nights with the family.
Okay. So
and I work full time, like most actual streamers work full time too.
I feel your pain. I have to work 7 to 3, so it's not a too difficult job, but it's I'd rather be doing this, but I wouldn't want to be those people that trust this full time, because I used to deliver pizza, right? I used to do delivery for pizza, and your reliance is mostly on tips. This is what this content creation is, tips. It's a roller coaster. It is what it is, but I enjoy this more because of who I can get to reach to. Again, there's, even if it's just one moment, it's in a way immortalized, if the platform allows to keep it up, that somebody will come across it, someone will feel a similarity to it, and they can go from there. And then maybe then they can have the opportunity, and maybe they can share. Because I mean, I can't remember how I came across. Sorry, I try not to burp on cam, but
it just happens sometimes.
Yeah,
live TV.
Yeah, it's live. We're doing it live. I can't remember how I came across you. I can't remember if it's from my Pay It Forward or through some other person. But my thing is that one person leads to another person, which leads to a whole other web of people. And surprising result is like, I've talked to people from Australia. I've talked to people from the UK.
Yeah.
Known real well. And I've talked to at least 2 people from Alaska. And they're 4 hours behind me, 3 hours behind you, I believe. And how is it that I, pretty much, somebody who has no huge wealth, or just, I'm a ground level person. I'm a ground floor person. How is it a ground floor person within 8 months can have 80 plus people to talk to, and it can just go anywhere? Again, I have another month filled. July is filled with people, and I'm looking forward to filling August. I'm looking forward to filling the rest of the year, and the numbers just keep going up there. Whether it's a new person or the same person, it doesn't matter. But it keeps amazing me, because one, I didn't think it'd be here, and two, the connection web, the connections of all these different people, it's a fascination on itself, and the stories and the stories themselves. Because in truth, we all in some way become a story. That's, you're someday you just become a line on a page in genealogy, and it's just like, who were they really, like, know? And that's a sad fact you may never get to know, unfortunately, like great grandparents or something like that. But yeah, it's a fascination in itself, and I do appreciate people who are willing to at least give me their time to come on, because, dear Lord, there's never enough time for anything, especially if you have kids.
Oh yeah, as you just saw.
You're like, get back.
I'm like, whoa.
But it's an amazement in itself when people can become, because you hear those stories, right? You hear those, stories of parents who get divorced and all this stuff, and it's just like you hope to pray you don't become the parents you hear those horror stories about, because it's a sad fate, not only for the kids but for people who took a commitment and it ended in separation. And it's sort of, yeah. Not that I know, but I just a quick before we get to that point. I was talking on someone else's. I was on someone else's stream, and we had talked a bit about parenting, at least our perspective from parenting. Right? I'm not a parent. I'm only talking on perspective, like what we see and all this stuff. And someone in their stream came and said, "That's not right. That's whatever." It's like, no, we know we're not parents. We're talking on a perspective. We're talking about like an outside view into the system of parenting or whatever. It's not to come down on you. It's rather talking on the perspective of, because everyone is allowed an opinion on, but there are some people who take it a little too far. There's some people take it a little too far. But when you tell someone you can't talk about something that they're not a part of, well, then you limit reach, you limit a conversation to have. What, instead of saying you're wrong, saying, well, in our sense, because not all families are the same. Some families still do, physical punishment. Some families change that. It's a wide variety bag that just, it can go off into different places, but it's always a fascination to talk about, because you never know. So, but anyway, I know this is a little shorter than usual, guys, but he did say he had to do his thing at 10 p.m. So I do want to respect that, because it's not, wait, no, you're about an hour behind me.
It's 8. Yeah, it's 8.
Yeah, so you got time. I was like, I thought it was an hour ahead. Like, please, Lord. So we have some.
Yeah, we got a little time.
We got enough time. I was like, oh man, I don't want to get him off, but no, we're good. Oh crap. But yeah, on that remark of the parenting stuff, because I imagine that even you as a parent used to have your own fears about not either doing as well as your parents did, or not making the same mistakes, because you were military, went off and all this stuff. So I imagine you had those fears.
I had really, like, looking back at it as an adult, I had really good parents. Sometimes you don't appreciate them when you're young, but I mean, I was very fortunate to have really good parents.
Yeah,
and I think that's also the reason why the military and going through hard times, I was able to keep a level head. So I was brought up very level-headed, very no trauma or anything to even worry about too much. So I think that played a big part. And it's a whole different ball game now, man. I grew up in a town of 500 people.
Jeez.
And we barely got 56K and cell phones, and maybe I was in high school. So it's like a whole new. My daughter's 10 now.
Wow.
So just seeing the vast amount of knowledge she has already is crazy and scary.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very disturbing. I try to limit any technology stuff like that. People that can get to where, there's just a lot of stuff like I didn't have to worry about, or it was accessible. You had still like crazies out there and stuff. Don't get me wrong, but it's like now they can have access to your child even more too, and it's scary. It's a lot.
There was so there was the movie Sound of Freedom, right? That came out 2 years ago, I believe. And of course, the creation of what Tim Ballard did was Operation Underground Railroad. And of course, I had donated money to them, because after that fact and all that stuff, just because I wanted to help in that essence, because there is, I mean, it's not untrue of what that part of what they do is, but just to help with that was immense. But they talked about, they gave out videos of talking about stories where children were led through Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and trying to give to parents or to the kids, whatever, trying to give these key things like report, where to report, all this stuff, because the monsters are out there. It's just now they have a wider net to attack. Used to be what, like
more opportunities too,
Yeah.
They have more access to them, being sneaky through technology, where they used to have to go actually physically interact with them, where other adults can see them a little easier.
Yeah.
It's just, they're out there, man.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful.
Yeah. And of course, as a parent, it's a given truth that with the advancement of our own technologies, whether the goodness of it or not, it does make it harder as time goes on, because it gets quicker, it gets smaller, it gets all this stuff. And you as a parent are left to this notion of being what's a good way? You're in a position of being this very big guard wall, right? You're the castle wall that protects the people on side from getting attacked, whatever. But it becomes harder when technology becomes less and less your friend. It's never your friend, but a reasonable way of making sure your child isn't falling into these traps, and it becomes this it's like a poisonous trap or a death trap for one's child. And again, through Operation Railroad. Oh, hey, Tiny Penny Face. Hey, welcome. But hearing the stories from Operation Underground Railroad, and just hearing those stories and the horrors, and just some kids got out, they reported, and they didn't get in that process, and some kids just get very unfortunate. And how true or believe you not of stuff is up to you, but it does exist. That darkness does exist. And as a parent, I can't imagine the burden have to. I mean, it's not just you, because there are single parents out there who probably have it much worse. But when you're a team, right, with your spouse, it's probably a little easier, but it's still just as difficult, because there's no. You don't want to rely too much on the government to make rules to take care of that. But it's also like you have to have the tools, and yes, there are tools, but there are people who find a way around.
Got to be involved, talk to them, and hopefully teach them good enough that they can make good decisions in the future. And that's the best. Just got to be there, be present.
Yeah, and that's and in a way, that's probably your best weapon of all, is not weapon, but your best line of communication, because I do think there are parents who, I mean, we can see it, right? We can see some parents allow technology to be the governing force. It used to be, setting your kids in front of the TV, watching like Sesame Street stuff, which isn't bad. I learned my ABCs in 1, 2, 3.
I watched Sesame Street back in the day too, man.
I watched Little Mr. Rogers. There's nothing wrong with that.
Love me some Oscar the Grouch, man.
Get out of here. But it's no longer that anymore. It's a lot more complicated. And as I've said before with many others, that when humans create something, there's a double-edged sword that comes with it, because the greatest example is a hoe, right? A garden hoe. You can farm, you can till the earth, you can do all this stuff, and you can kill somebody with it. That's you can create this wonderful thing, and you can do some horrible things with it. So it's the duality of what we can create. But anyway, so it's the top of the hour, and every time I have somebody on at the top of the hour of every hour, I say it's the time for us to promote ourselves. Now, I just did your link tree in the bottom, because there's a lot of stuff. But if you want to do your thing, you are more than welcome to, and then I'll do myself, and then we'll continue on from there.
Reconrat.live is my website. On there's a merch store. You can watch the stream live. A bunch of stuff you can do. You can learn about me a little bit more. Locals too. If you go to my page, Reconrat Locals, I actually upload. I did a little journal while I was over in Iraq, and I put a portion of it every week or so on there, if you're a member, and with pictures and everything. So I do that also if you want to check out Locals. But really just my Rumble channel and my website. Like I said, just search Reconrat. You'll find me. It's rumble.com/Reconrat. You can find my channel there.
That's awesome, and it's pretty interesting that you're willing to share at least your journaling, because that journaling, I think, just in general, right? Just in general, journaling is more a personal journey sort of thing. The library book of your life, in a sense, where you're taking the indexes and whatnot. But to be able to share that, especially being interacting and all this stuff, that's a lot of. It's almost like opening up yourself to being seen, in a sense, with anyone who does, a journal diary, because it's not
Yeah, my uncle was in the Navy, and he said to do a journal. Even if you're not a big journal person, just write down your thoughts, write what happens. If anything, just write what happens. And that's kind of what I did. I'm not a big writer by any means.
Right.
Not a professional at all. Not at all. That's why I joined the military. But I did. So there's not a whole bunch, but the big firefights or the big incidents that we have, I always wrote about them. And I'm going to throw them up there with pictures. I show you my living, how I lived, just even the small stuff of what I lived in, what our schedule kind of was. But that's it, man. So.
Oh, there you go. Tiny painted face. I've asked the boyfriend to identify the fun toys and Reconrat the background. Uh-oh. Maybe we'll...
Boomsticks.
Boom. I thought that was what a shotgun was, but I guess they all are that. But yeah, what's this? It's a boomstick. What about that one there? That's a bigger boomstick. But what about that one over there? That's a smaller.
That's a real big boomstick.
What's that big tank over there? That's the mother load. Don't worry about that. But anyway, so for myself, ladies and gentlemen, if you would, first off, if you wouldn't mind liking. I know you can't see me. I'm over here. I'm right here. If you wouldn't mind liking, commenting, following, or sharing the stream or video or the shorts that I do, that'd be very helpful, because engagement. Every content creator needs engagement, and having the engagement helps having more people on, like Reconrat, like Squishy Banana, like Tiny Paint Face, and like so many others. Because I'm looking forward to the day I can have many people, right? Like I have 80 plus people, and I'm looking like hundreds of thousands and all this sort of thing, because you never know what story you'll hear about or whatever, and that helps. And again, if you watching on the screen now would like to be on, like I gotta do this thing, Reconrat, Tiny Panda, and so many others, there's a link tree down below. In the link tree are other links you can find me at, whether it be Twitter, Discord, whatever. Find me at those places. Let's get started. It's just that simple, just that easy. And if you don't want to do the link tree, leave a comment, and I'll find you there, whether it be on YouTube or Rumble. Again, I assume to both YouTube or Rumble, because I have my reasons, and I'll name them shortly after. But yeah, like, share, comment, follow, and then link tree if you want to come on. Anything you guys do is helpful, and I'm very grateful beyond measure. Thank you guys so much. But yeah, it's always that I'm always that thing where I'm very hesitant on, it's something you have to get over, but it's sort of like you kind of have to ask for that engagement factor, because to me, in a sense, it feels like a begging, but you understand it. Like for me, if I want to have more people on or be able to reach more people, it's part of the ordeal, and it kind of sucks, but it's kind of understandable. Oh, she's saying he may or may not have some of that. Well, there you go. How about that? But
it's good.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just that weird feeling I have. Same with like, the rants and stuff or whatever, or trying to get people to come on or whatever. There's always that feeling of not awkwardness, but of maybe awkwardness, but some sort of feeling of not being pushy or annoying, whatever, because if you try to force wanting people to come on, then it makes it harder and harder for them to come on.
Yeah.
It's all about asking, right? Like I've asked people, some say yes, few say no, others say yes, I'll look over your stuff, and I never hear from them again, or I never hear from them at all. It's a mixed bag, but I still try, because there's such a wide range of people, and people like you, people like Patty, people like Tiny Panda, all these different people. Yes, a big chunk of them are creators, but just human at the end of the day.
Well, everybody's got a story, man. It doesn't matter what you do.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's got a story.
Oh yeah, and you'd be surprised of either how similar to your life, maybe some things you pick up that are within reach of yours, or just the fascination like that type of person exists, you know. And and there's just too many. There's just too many in a month to try to get to. But
Oh yeah,
I try to. I keep the weekends for people who can't do weekdays. You know how it goes, but more than that, it's mostly just weekdays. And again, I had to go. So here was the funny part. I had to set some time in a day. It was no more than an hour or so, but I had to set time in a day to just try to go through all my videos that I've done, live streams. It's like, okay, so 1, 2, because there are doubles, there are multiples of people coming on, so I have to count the one and like not count them again. It's like, so it's like, ugh. But it was, once I did count that, I was like, okay, so I have around 80 plus people that I've talked to, and I was like, holy crap.
a lot, man. That's good. It's just a start, though.
Yeah, it is. It's the seed. You know, the seed. You water it. You give it some sunshine, and it can go wonders. But yeah, I always worry getting close to the beginning of a new month whether I can get people on, and then come to the middle of the month, I'm like, holy crap! Why was I worrying so much?
Now I'm busy all the time.
And I was like, I ain't got enough time for this. But some people say that's a good thing, because then that shows that there's almost a never-ending supply of people who want to say something, whether it be silly or not. And it's just like, that's pretty awesome.
You're very easy to talk to, man. I got to give you props on that, and just coming and not being fearful of coming and asking too.
Yeah,
that's half the battle too. Is some people are afraid of rejection, or
yeah,
like you said, somebody will be like, "Well, who are you? I don't even know you. You know, you don't have big enough numbers for me, or whatever."
Mhm.
You know.
But that can happen to anyone, though, whether it be
Yeah.
niches or whatever. But it is a engagement game. It is a credibility game. I mean, of course, the rejection factor is basically a numbers game at a certain point, right? Like, oh, that person didn't say it. Well, there's 5 other people I can ask. If I can get one of them, there I go. And I will say, I do try to connect with some, at least people I think are bigger names. Like, I've had Lumpy on, I've had Pudge TV on, I've had someone from YouTube who's kind of big over there on. You do try to do those connections, but I'm still on the ground floor trying to reach people across, whether it be a content creator or not. And it just keeps astounding me. I keep surprising myself. I do that. What is that? The surprise Pikachu face, that meme, that sort of thing. But yeah. But for the gaming faction, do you play mostly like Medal of Honor, COD, all those sort of games, or do you just pick a
first person shooters for the most part?
Okay.
Like think about last stream's X Defiant. I played that. That's kind of more like COD-ish. Different, of course, but a little bit. Tonight I'm playing more of a milsim. That military actually uses this engine. I've actually done the training in the military, and I kicked everybody's butt because I played this game forever, man.
Wow.
As a kid. So they're like super impressed with me taking out everybody. Little did they know I had been playing this game since I was a kid, basically.
Yeah.
But it started out as Operation Flashpoint and now it's Arma Reforger is the newer one. Arma 3, Arma Reforger.
I've heard of that one.
But it's more of milsim. It's going to be more realistic, not just running around, bunny hop around corners, big maps, helicopters. You got to have, it's all PvP, so you got to have like people cart you in helicopters. There's guys that just fly helicopters around and drop you off wherever you want to go, that kind of play style. So that's what we're doing tonight. But I'll do the fast-paced action every once in a while. I did for a while play a lot of Call of Duty till they started making all these crazy characters.
Yeah.
Because I liked Call of Duty because it was more military themed. But it kind of, now there's like animals running around and Nicki Minaj. Like stuff that you never thought would happen in Call of Duty. So So I kind of it took the atmosphere away from me. So I've moved kind of more to Mill Sims.
Well, and people talk about the lobbies in there too. Like they will slam you. They will slam you. They will trash talk you to oblivion.
I don't mind as much,
Right.
except when they start just being super belligerent,
Yeah.
bad. But I don't mind trash talking. That's kind of fun. I don't
Yeah.
mind getting people ragging on me. I'll tell them I suck. Yeah, I do suck, dude. It's all right.
No, but I like that bit where like they add like these people like celebrities or whatever into it. It's like, wait, why is Kanye in here with a AK-47? What the heck's going on?
Why is Nicki Minaj in Call of Duty, man? I never even seen her with a gun, let alone running around shooting stuff.
And the funny thing, that's kind of ironic though. That's
Yeah,
almost playing
exactly.
into the stereotype. It's like, really?
Crazy.
Oh my goodness. But I remember because I had a GameCube, right? I would play the Medal of Honor ones, which is like the old World War II,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And, of course, it's frustrating because you almost get killed all the time, and you're just like, I'm gonna have to take this level down a notch.
Yeah, I played all the Medal of Honors too till they stopped making them.
Oh,
Those were good games, man. Those were the pre-Call of Duty, basically. I think actually Call of Duty was some of the creators of Medal of Honor split off and made their company.
Yeah.
And made Call of Duty, which then got huge.
Yeah, I mean it's not. I mean those games weren't meant to be exact, but they were World War II style games. They could still be hard. I mean, again, you could change the level because I had to. It was like you go on Medium. It's like, why am I dying more times than I want to?
Well, it doesn't help that AI is like shooting laser beams at your head sometimes.
Yeah,
lock on.
That's like those Germans are really good at killing me. He's over there in the woods. Get him. But yeah, it's those were, I can't remember which ones I did because they would have a campaign story to it, right? They'd have a campaign story you could play. I remember one was start at the beaches of Normandy, and you go from that point, and there would be some other ones too. But yeah, they were sort of like, and this is back GameCube days. They were sort of the OG of what I felt like war or military battle type gaming, because I don't think there was. I'm not sure if there was. You'd have like games where you could do like shooting games, like 4-player, that sort of thing. But I'm not sure if there were games at the same time of Medal of Honor. I could be wrong, but I
want to think, man. I think like GoldenEye back in the day.
Oh yeah.
You could, like you were talking, you could split screen it and play against each other.
Yeah.
I think that was like one of the ones I remember multiplayer. But I did Delta Force too, multiplayer. That was a long time ago. And then I think I got into Battlefield 1942, the original, and then Medal of Honor about the same time, I think.
Wow. And then there was and of course like Halo. I know Halo's another one when it had its multiplayer and all that stuff. That became big in its own right.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah. And so many other games, but yeah, it's a funny thing too, right? Where you starting out playing what you played, and then you see sort of this through time to now, right? The evolution, the evolution of those first-person shooter games. Like, did you ever play the BioShock ones? Because I think those are first player too.
I have very, very small amount I've played. I don't really get into like futuristic games. I guess that's kind of my downfall. I don't do futuristic games.
Right.
Like even the Battlefield series, I played all the Battlefield except their futurist. I don't even know the name of it. That's how much I know about it. But they had one that was like super futuristic. I don't get into. But I play 2042. That's like about as futuristic as I get. Really.
Okay. Yeah, because let's see. Well, first off, I haven't played as many games as I used to because I'm doing this, right? Because even watching content creators, I don't watch the other stuff very much anymore because I'm busy. If I make the thumbnails for the next person, or I do the shorts but I use tools to help do those things that cuts down on the time stuff. But I'm doing other stuff. I have a full-time job. You want some time to relax and all this stuff, and you're trying to take care of your personal health too. So it's sort of like my time is eaten up, but I do once in a while try to stop by people I do follow. Like that's when I do my pay it forward stream, it's the it's the opportunity of not only seeing new people but old people as well. Not old, but like familiar faces, and I have fun with it because the I don't know if you remember a while back, but there was a long time ago, I think it was sometime last year, Chris, the CEO, and then Flawed TV did a whole Rumble Raid thing. It was like $10,000, whatever.
Oh yeah.
I don't have that kind of money, but they went around, they gave some money and all this stuff, and it was great because I personally can't follow everyone because your my feed gets clogged up and there's more and more people to watch and you can't watch. So I give the thing that I know will be more helpful to the person rather than my view or whatever, because I can give engagement and I can give a little money, but I can't give you my view because I don't have the time.
Yeah,
And
same with me. It's hard to you want to go see the people that come into yours, say hi and stuff, and you just don't have the time sometimes. And then you don't see the new people that come on either because you don't have time to go just scroll through and see what's going new. So that's what I kind of like they added raids.
Yeah.
So that you could that's what gets me to go out and see who's around about the same time I'm about to get off. Actually, I'll go raid a new person that maybe doesn't have a bunch of views, maybe just starting off, that's new. Go talk to them just a little bit before I get off of the stream, and that's how I kind of find my new people, or be able to like go around Rumble, because like you said, I don't have much time. Unfortunately, I wish I could.
Yeah, and it's not a thing to be ashamed about, whatever. It's more of a reality of, I enjoy doing this thing, you enjoy doing your thing, but our times are eaten up by creating the thing, and not much else can come from it. We can't give any more than we already have. It's just an impossibility. But when I'm able to do something that's different, like give engagement or give a rant, and because with Rumble they can mean more than just, because YouTube, you giving a super chat, it's all, your character level is by amount level, and it's just like, forget it. It doesn't make it pointless, and they take more too. But with Rumble, whether you give 100 or 500, whether you give $1 to 500, sorry, I don't know why I said that, one to 500, it same amount of characters, and I can do a lot more with less, and I can give to more people rather than just give to a few, right? If I had $10,000, I'd be giving a lot more, but I don't have that kind of money.
I hear you.
And
I hear you.
But that's what I do for the pay it forward, and it's always to give without expectation, because again, when the Rumble raid happened, they did kind of expect you, like, you got to show your face, you got to turn on the camera, you got to do all this stuff. I'm like, I don't care about any of that. Either you'll acknowledge it or not, and if you don't, that's fine. We move on to another person. And sometimes people acknowledge after the fact because they're busy playing the game or whatever.
Yeah, they're playing the game, or they're not. Nobody's in their game, so they're just looking around, playing the game and kind of talking a little bit. And then something happens, and they're not even checking chat because nobody's been in there for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they feel super bad when they finally see it, and they're like, "No, they already left." I've seen that a couple times.
Yeah, and or they multi-stream too, which of course I do as well. And my reason for multi-streaming is because if you stream to one platform, the platform owns your content in a sense, and you're stuck to that platform and all that stuff. You're just giving YouTube an example, right? We've seen those stories and all that, and people who just stick to YouTube, while it has niceties, whatever, they become owned by YouTube. Their content is owned by YouTube. It is not owned by you. And for me, as a content, as a content creator, I am building a safety net, because if one goes down, I have another. It doesn't matter which side. If one goes down, I have another. And that builds the safety net of, like, that I'm not owned by one or the other platform. I have on both. Whatever you think of YouTube, regardless of that, it's about the creator, not the platform. Irregardless.
And you're also bringing, like we were talking about earlier, Rumble is trying to go out and grab these creators that may be on Twitch or YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
if you multi-stream, even if they're not your big platforms or your main platform, you might bring in a couple more people that you might not have reached, on Rumble, because they never go to Rumble or something, or never even heard of it. I've heard some people still haven't heard about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you can reach out and grab people and say, hey, I multi-stream, but this is where you can really help me at if you come to Rumble, make an account or whatever. I think that's a big plus too. So I don't get mad at anybody that multi-streams, or, some people are like, oh, you're not for Rumble if you multi-stream or whatever. It doesn't, doesn't bother me. You do you, man. You do what's best for you.
Yeah.
And like you said, make a safety net for you.
Yeah. And I mean, I just because of using the YouTube part, I do kind of do a small gripe, because again, you kind of short yourself, but it's ultimately your choice as a creator of how you do things, right? I can't, you could ignore me up and down the wall. I just simply say you kind of short yourself by only being on one platform. Whether it be one place or another, whether it never be YouTube, it's just you become your content is owned, and if something happens to that platform, or you're trying to stream to it and something goes down, you are done for the day. And especially if you make money off it or whatever, your financials are tied to that one platform. And we've already seen what happens to people who get demonetized by YouTube. We've already seen people who get banned by YouTube, and they have to go to another website in order to get YouTube's attention, not to YouTube's own website. They have to go to another. It's happened.
Or you got to bend the knee. You got to bend the knee to what changes they want on your content. Else you're not going to get paid. And if, like you said, that's your number one, that's the only thing you got, and that's where you make your money, then you got to change it. They pretty much, like you said, own you.
Yeah.
And at that point.
Yeah. And it's happened to Rumble as well. There have been times where people have had to go to Rumble to get Rumble support or their attention, whatever, and that's on Rumble to improve that. YouTube. Oh, Steve says YouTube has a mind of its own with no tech support. Yeah, it has all these people making updates for TV and YouTube and all this stuff, but they can't really get their customer support right. And I think a lot of platforms have that issue.
Yeah, we just had recently one guy is a Bitcoin. He just does Bitcoin like news all the time. This is like the second time banned off of YouTube, and he doesn't even know. It takes him for like at least a week to get an answer of why, and then they're like, "Well, it was automated or something by accident." It's like, what? Like if you're making money off of it and that's what you're doing, and you just get banned because of like an automated ban of something that popped up, I don't even know what. They don't even know what, or don't want to say. We've had that. So that's, like you said, sometimes there's no technical support. You can't get an answer. They don't even know sometimes, apparently, why you got banned. So
you're just like, why? God.
He came over he always had a Rumble channel, but he specifically went over to the Rumble and started just bagging on YouTube. And I think that's what got their attention too on X and YouTube. He just started just letting them have it.
Yeah, and I really think, again, going back to the multi-streaming, that's where a content creator can have more negotiating power, right? Because the more you can say, I have this, the numbers thing. Just going for the numbers thing right now. I have this over here. I have this over here, and I have this on Rumble, and that lends itself more to credence of your negotiating power, because as a content creator, limiting yourself to one platform, you're under their thumb. There was a example I've heard of, like a bank, right? Like if you were to borrow a loan for $1,000, the bank owns you. But if you were to go to millions of dollars, you own the bank. Same thing with multi-streaming. Just one platform owns you. Multiple platforms, you own your stuff, and so on and so forth. And trying to at least make some all that. When he says, Steve says, and they demand we watch their adverts, and they treat us so bad. And you guys, and sometimes YouTubers accept it, because what is it?
Yeah.
I've always heard is reach and money. Oh, yep. And I'm just like, so what you're saying is you're creating content, but it's not for content. You're
Exactly.
And it can be brought against me too, because I've done ad reads and all that stuff through Rumble Studios. But the thing,
Well,
oh yeah, sorry.
yeah, I mean, you're gonna want to make a little money with it, but it shouldn't be your driving factor. For me, if somebody does me wrong, I'm going someplace else.
Mm.
I don't care how much they're giving me, how much. I mean, that's probably why I'll never be rich. But you know, I'm not gonna take that. Like at the end of the day, I'm my own man.
Mhm.
You're not gonna tell me how to do what I like to do or what I want to do. So
Yeah, and yeah, and it's just a thought to have for content creators. Like, there's some people who are just like, no, I'm fine with what I have, and that's up to you. Again, it's your stuff. But I just like to point out that you ultimately will either have to own your content or be owned. And it's the nature of the business. It's the nature of the business. Trying to get my light because it's a little dark. I'm brightened up now so you can see my face. But yeah, it's just, and again, the people, just speaking on YouTube alone, the people that are on there, they will accept it because of what YouTube offers. It's sort of like scraps on the table, right, for the dog. They offer just enough rich food onto the floor that you will stay because it tastes good. There's enough of it and all that stuff. But it's like, but yeah, it's Google though.
exactly.
It's Google though. Like, people keep, I don't know if people remember or not, but Google is the the world number one search engine. What do you think number two is? YouTube.
Well, it's like you're either gonna stick with your guns and take the moral high ground if somebody treats you bad,
Yeah.
and leave, or you're gonna sit there because you like the money. That's what it basically comes down to. You know, if you put all your eggs into YouTube, then you're just waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, and I don't want to say it's a sellout sort of notion, but it does feel like, again, in the creator content aspect, like it begs in the question, why are you creating content? We can hear the beginning, we can hear your beginning story of why you created content, but the continuation factor after that is, why are you still creating content? Are you creating content for the original reason, or has money become the main faction that you say, and all this other stuff? And I'm just like, what that, uh-oh, got someone else.
That's my dog.
Oh,
I
what
don't know what he's
breed?
doing. He is a German Shepherd collie.
Ooh, there you go. That's an interesting mix.
Super smart. Too smart.
It's like, where'd the peanut
He was
butter
just playing
go?
in the ball pit back there. I had my little kid's ball pit back there.
Yeah.
He just hopped into it.
Nice.
It probably would have been good content, but I have the gun background. People would have ate that up.
Yeah, people would be like, it'd be like Reconrat's dog time sort of thing, and you just like 24/7. No, not like that, but yeah, that'd be pretty funny.
Because should put a little ball pit cam or something where he hops into it every once in a while.
Why is there a dog camera here? Oh, dogs make my a dog emoji. Oh, goodness sake. But yeah, that's yeah, but it is a nice conversation to have, because I think people, when they're in the game so long, they tend to forget about those small things. That it's sort of like the pebble in the shoe sort of example. You have a pebble in your shoe long enough, it gets irritating, and you keep it in there long enough, it's going to cause significant damage to you being able to walk, whatever. So why would you keep having a pebble in your shoe? You take it out. And I think some people, sometimes they just stick with it. So
yeah, I don't know why, like, especially the gun tubers over there, they've been their videos taken down, or they can only have like 29 rounds, not 30 or so. It's crazy rules, right? Or no fully auto weapons or something crazy, or they'd be demonetized. It's like, why don't you put, at least if you don't transition all the way, at least put your videos over on Rumble or someplace else, just in case, because they've actually taken down videos where they can't even get to them.
Jeez.
I mean, why would you even put yourself in that position?
Mm-mm.
So I always have a backup.
And I saw that too. It was what was it? Sponsorships, I think was the news. He was talking about sponsorships and
Yeah, that's a new headline coming out right now.
I didn't watch the video. I just saw the headline. And there was a funny thing though. There is a website out there that is dedicated to mostly gun tubers, especially in a sense. I can't remember the name though, but it was for guns and all that other stuff. And so I mean, there is something out there. It's just not well known because I can't even remember the name. But yeah, gun tubers are at that point too, where I mean, again, YouTube is Google. I don't care what anyone says. You can call it whatever the name it's been given, but it's Google nonetheless. And when you sign up to put your stuff on there, you take the risk. You take the risk. And what was it? There was another example too of where there was some people signed up to do, it was like game or something, and oh, I wish I could remember, because it was sort of thing like there was some things that were happening in it, but if you would already know beforehand that this certain action or whatever was already in the game, and you kind of you still went for it anyway, you kind of put that on yourself. Like, I wish I could remember it. That's how bad memory is sometimes. But yeah, it's just yeah, gun tubers are gonna have to. They're either gonna have to, as you said, either learn how to bend a knee or branch out, because there's no reason anymore. There's no option anymore. That's the point. There is no option anymore.
Yeah, I think the big the article was about how they couldn't post links to weapons, I think, in their descriptions.
Oh.
So some were getting their videos taken down. I think Hickok was one of them. He's an old guy that shoots guns. He's been on there forever.
Yeah.
One of the popular ones.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them come up with issues where they have to change something or do something because YouTube doesn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are just getting ads or becoming affiliates or whatever, and just saying the stuff. They're not even monetized by YouTube anymore since they've built such a good following already.
Mm-hmm.
They can actually just throw ads up in their videos of the companies that want to be sponsored. So that's how they get kind of by that, and can still make money. But it's like, man, go to a different site too. I mean, throw your stuff on all. I would be throwing my stuff all over the place, whatever allowed me to.
Yeah, I've known a few people I talked to. There's one gentleman I was talking to who was he was he's not a gun tuber or anything, but he was streaming his stuff to, like, what was it, 8 or 10 different platforms.
Yeah.
Like,
dang, that's a little much.
Yeah, I would, my max would probably be 3 or 4, because there's only so much bandwidth. But there was this is another gentleman I had on, UB Legend, who's been trying to stream to like 7 different platforms. But again, with Rumble Studios, you are afforded that for free, where you'd have to pay that with StreamYards, Restream, and whatever. It's a personal choice. I know we had technical issues earlier, and that was a camera issue, but I still will use it because I from my personal experience, right, Rumble Studios for me is a bit of a, I feel like it's a bit of their golden goose. The more they improve it, the better it'll get, and it's part of an ecosystem. It's not by itself like Restream or StreamYards. It is a ecosystem, and when you have something like that, it's not totally reliant on itself. It shares the load with other areas, and once it gets better, it possibly could give Restream and StreamYards a run for money. But I know gamers have issues, and I know that there's still some things, of course, like the camera issue earlier. But if things are brought, for me, if things are brought in a constructive criticism sort of stance, because a lot of people just yell and scream and say, "This isn't right. I want it changed now," sort of thing. And I'm just like, you're not going to get anywhere with that. I mean, you may, but you're going to have people hate you more.
I was totally surprised by Rumble Studio, how good it was when it came out. I mean, they kind of came out with it pretty fast. Like, hey, here, we're going to make Rumble Studio, and there's going to be ads that you can read in it.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, was that in like a year or two? You know, I was thinking more, and they popped it out, man. And then all of a sudden, campaigns came in, and they're updating it. So I'm actually really impressed by it.
Yeah.
Like you said, I think it's gonna help a lot, man. Once people find out about this more.
Yeah, and I mean, my thing with the campaign the ad reads are a bit iffy because those ad reads are done to get more people on their stuff, right? They're giving money to Rumble in order to get more money from them, business wise and stuff. And so, if they don't see an improvement from that, then that business is just going to take it out of rack, and that's going to be the end of it. Which, I mean, it's gonna bound to happen anyway. But Rumble is still in the state of not being able to have, not what's the term? Not weird looking stuff, like stuff you would think they're like fishy stuff, I know they've been doing ads for their new stuff like Positive and their coffee and all this. So that's great. But they still have some of those iffy sort of things where they're like, you go to these websites, whatever, it's like hard to trust sort of thing.
Oh yeah, especially on the actual ads that play before your video.
Yeah.
Some of them are pretty like, watch this 30-minute video, and then maybe you'll know what the product is. Yeah, it's just the strangest marketing concept sometimes.
Yeah.
For these products.
But they're unfortunately in a space where, fighting for the freedom of speech, and then you have YouTube bending the will to whatever because the money. They as I think as Chris said, they kind of have to make their own. Hope you have enjoyed learning the operating at Tiny Panda Face. I don't know what it means, operating. Learning the operating at Tiny Panda Face. Oh, she's probably talking to Panda Face. I'm like, what? Like, what's going on here? But yeah, they still have a bit to get there, but I mean, they're working with was it the Square, the Amazon sort of equal, like public square sort of
Public
thing.
Square,
yeah, public square. And I know they have their stuff on the Rumble Cloud and all that, but there's also that too, and it's just gonna be a long process. But I do think that they kind of have to. They kind of, I know people will probably complain about them making like the Positive and the coffee and all this stuff, but it's part of the ordeal of trying to create a sort of free speech platform.
I like it. The big companies are telling other companies not to advertise with Rumble, throwing around their weight, doing all this. You know what? We're just going to have to make our own products and then market them on our site and, and get bigger and stronger that way. I mean, I think that's why they're trying to adapt.
Yeah.
Because they weren't getting the ads they thought they were because everybody's telling them not to, advertise with us.
Yeah.
Over here.
And it was nice to see that there at least was some success with the coffee one, the 1775.
Yeah,
I think they
seems to be doing well.
Yeah, it was like $1 million, which is great. I mean, of course, it's coffee, right? People love coffee. As long as the coffee beans and all this stuff is great, then the product will sell well. But then you have to create other products that people will want to buy too.
Yeah,
and that's not always an easy process. Now, of course, with the Positive, the pet stuff, maybe, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's going to be a work in progress, but Rumble can still surprise, and as long as they're still willing to listen to creators on there about things that need to be and all that stuff, constructive criticism stuff, then I think that it will start taking the excuses out of people's ability to say, I won't want to go to Rumble. Well, why don't you want to go to Rumble? Oh, they don't have TV apps. Well, they have enough that there may be one that you can use. Oh, the UI sucks. Okay, but what about their UI sucks? You have to be a little more definition, or this or that or whatever. And some have given me some good examples of, but at the end of the day, some people just say generic thing and they never what's the word?
I actually had one guy say Rumble sucks. They go, why does it suck? He goes, because I don't like Sneeko. I was like, that's one guy on the platform, man. I mean, you're gonna cancel off a whole platform off of one guy that you don't like? Like, come on, man. Like, that's not a good reason just to write off a platform, you know? So
that would.
yeah, he actually told me that. I was like, okay. I mean,
I don't like Reconrat. Well, come
I
on,
know.
man.
Right off Rumble, right?
It's like it takes one person for you not to come on. That's just the lamest excuse I've ever
Yeah. I
heard.
was like, that's not good enough, man. Come on. What's
I-
the real reason?
Come on, what's the real reason?
Do you hate Sneeko that much? I guess maybe. I don't know.
Don't go where Sneako's at his other places too. He may be on Twitch. Don't go to
I
Twitch.
mean, some people, I guess, are kind of like that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Yeah, and that's the silliness of us. Really, is we can point to one thing. It's like that's the end of our Bila, but the reason it just sounds so silly is like, really?
That's it.
I mean, I have multiple complaints, but over time they've gotten better. Like I know the big one was content creator payout, because it was people were not getting their payout, or right now it's check or PayPal, and a lot of people, and check, the Canadian check right now, American check, get American on us.
Canadian A.
Canadian A. But the Canadian check would take months. And I found that through another person who was having the issues. Like, Canadian check would take months to get to you. Some people don't like PayPal because of its issues, but the amount of payment processors that are out there are abysmal. It is so little, it's not even funny. But the news of them going to work with Stripe now, that's a great addition to have. It gets people another choice. They can look at A and B and say,
more
no,
choices the better.
Yeah, and I know some people would like to have direct pay or whatever, but they're just I don't know what the legal things would be. I don't know what the financial things would be, so I can't speak on that. But I just think that's a work in progress, and right now they are. They will be. But I think. I appreciate them for making a streaming service that I can use for free.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate that. You could have people
and monetize like on pretty much day one.
Day one, yeah.
Like a lot of the other places, you got to jump through hoops to get even close to getting monetized. So I mean,
yeah,
that's huge.
And it's still, again, the monetization is still based on a view space, and you'll hear people try to want to game it, right? Like that's the same thing with YouTube. They're gaming the algorithm. They're chasing the algorithm in order to be seen more. And for me, it's like, but then that leads back to the money thing, right? You're not making content to make content. You're just making content to
just playing the game.
Yeah, you're just playing. You're going
See
to
if you can play the game the best.
Yeah. You're going to the casino and you're counting cards is what you're doing.
Or the view botters. I actually had one, was it maybe 2 streams ago, actually come in and say, hey, you get go to this website and you get a view bot. And then all of a sudden I got 200 people watching my stream, which wasn't 200 people. It was view bots. I banned them immediately. And then like maybe a minute, it fell back to original number. That's the first time that's ever happened on Rumble for me. But I thought that was crazy that you could just basically flip a switch and have like 200 people or 200 bots watching you, Yeah. Freaking nuts how people try to game stuff for themselves to try to become popular.
Yeah. And again, people make content. Now, obviously people can outgame the system once they get more well known and people see more of their content and all stuff, but you're still playing by YouTube's rules, which is it's a fiasco in itself. It's whatever, but that's what I fear too, is like with Rumble and making their recommendation engine, people are going to try to find a way to game that algorithm.
Always.
Because they want to hit those numbers, they want to hit the money and all that stuff. I'm like, it's just it becomes a red herring, because it's like, guys, come on, make the content because you enjoy what you do. Don't make the content because you're trying to get 1,000 there or whatever. And it's just like it becomes a worthless endeavor. And it's just like, I gotta take a step back from all that nonsense.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
At least X, they made all their algorithms and stuff where you could actually view them. People could look at them so they could see what's really like the driving force or what weights make stuff be seen more and stuff. At least if you're gonna have it, at least let people know. Because I think they game it that way too. If you don't know, now I can tell the people that I want to become popular, this is how you're supposed to do stuff, and then they become more popular to who you want or who you promote.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm not saying I'm too far off different, because I do put shorts on both ends, and I do use that system there. But I don't I do it in the necessity of being seen more. Well, I do it in the necessity as one is sort of like sharing, because I make shorts of the streams, right? So I take a stream, I use a program called Opus.pro. I put the stream in there, and AI and all this other stuff. It kind of helps with taking bits and pieces out, and I edit. I do that 10%, and then I take those shorts, and I think I still at this point have at least around 3 weeks worth, because I put like one a day, at least to keep something going.
Yeah.
But and I have so many other streams too. It's like my streams and the shorts I can make out of those outweigh the amount of shorts I have on hand.
But that's just that's not necessarily gaming the system or nothing. That's just putting out your product, though. The more you do it, the more eyes can see it. And I don't see that necessarily as bad as like doing certain things for searches to get searches, or and you're still doing it's your content that you love to put out too. So I don't see any problem with you doing that at all.
Yeah, and it's sharing their story or their time on. Again, the stream. I've had. There's this dude. His name is Daniel Romano, and he's a very big Power Ranger fan. Now, I watched it when I was a kid, obviously. I don't know if you did as well.
Not too much. It was always on after school, but I never really watched it all that much.
Yeah, and that's in this case. But he's real passionate about it. He's made costumes, all and stuff. But it's like, and he has his own YouTube channel as well on Rumble. But it's like, would as many people heard him now if I hadn't had him on as other times? I don't know. But it's creating this field of, I am now taking bits and pieces of the whole stream they're on. I do on YouTube. You can direct to the stream they were on, right, to the connection to. Rumble, you can't really do that as of yet, but I can connect those 2 points, and then they can go see the whole stream. And I do try to keep the short of the shorts at least within enough line of the original stream, or at least the chunk of where it's taking it from, because sometimes you do have to cut out. It's 60 seconds. I have to be within the 60-second confine of YouTube, because otherwise I can't post it on there as a short, and use that system in order to benefit the whole stream, right? And all that. But yeah, it's just a journey in itself. And yeah, I you put the tags and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's about sharing their point of time, and maybe you'll find similarities with it or not, but it's about sharing this person with as many people as you can, because then they realize, oh, this person exists too, and they have similarities to me, and I can and I can do all that stuff. You're not the first military person I've had on, but still you have your own personality, your own viewpoint, all this, and it's a wonder when you can share that with others, especially when you do it for yourself.
Right? I appreciate, man, you guys you doing that, and letting small creators come on, just regular Joes like me.
I'm a regular Joe. I'm a regular Joe. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, that's why you can relate so well, though. I think some people are not in touch with the regular everyday person. I think
it's a point of, they want to get big people on in order to get more big people on and climb up the ladder, which I get. Yeah. I'm not too far from that. I'd like to have that too, but I'd still like to come back to the ground floor, because the big thing about being on the ground floor is that you get to hear you get to see what's going on, and the ground floor is where everything happens, right? The higher you get on the the elevator, yes, you can see a bigger picture to a degree, but you don't get to see the inner workings. Yeah. And the ground floor is where all the inner workings happen, all the interactions, all this stuff happens. And by being able to try to at least be somewhere in the middle, high, low, all that stuff, I can move in between these things. And you never know. You just never know. So, but yeah, I as I said many times before, I do enjoy the process, and I'm glad I get to share with people like you. So even if you're like, I know people ask what's the topic or what have you, and I do understand that, because it's a trained manner, because a lot of the content creators do it. But I'm like, in explaining is like the conversation itself is the topic at hand, because you never know where you'll go, and a lot of people are nervous about that, a little anxiety, or don't know how to be in the responsive. But I'm like, look, all you have to do is, I have to carry the weight. I have to carry the full of the weight. You don't worry about anything. You're just worried about, okay, what is he talking about? How can I relate? What can I do this? What can I do that? All this stuff. You're on the reactionary factor. I am the one with the building plans. I'm like, okay, it goes over there. It goes over there. I have to do all that work. You just have to come on, look pretty, and just have a great time. But
I think that's where you get the most sincere chat too, when it's not scripted, or hey, we got to do this now, I'm going to ask you that kind of, about this topic. I think that's when you get the best content actually from people, or their opinions, is when you just talk.
Yeah. And I'd be the worst scriptwriter in the world. I'd be like, okay, what am I supposed to say after this? Give me 5 minutes.
What's the next question?
I was like, question, please. No, I could never. And of course, I took some influences. I don't know if that's the right word. Influences or inspirations from, say, like, one part of it is, there used to be a show I used to watch called The Craig Ferguson Show, right? He'd be on, he'd have these celebrities on. Of course, they were celebrities, but they'd be there to promote a movie, a TV show, or whatever. And yet, during that whole point, rarely would they get to talking about their movie or TV show. They just have a conversation with Craig Ferguson. And it was like, that's pretty awesome. Like, they didn't talk about their stuff. They came to talk about whatever, or whatever Craig Ferguson could mix them up on. And then there's also the show I used to watch, was Whose Line Is It Anyway? Right?
Oh yeah, I love that one. I used to watch that one a lot.
Wonderful. And you'll see something.
I could never do what those guys do.
Neither could I, but it gave something of improvisation. Improvisation is sort of like magic coming from thin air, and you just like popping it out. And I feel like that's more than what just having a regular conversation can be, is just having it pop out of thin air, and you're just like, how the hell did this happen?
I don't even know how those guys can think that fast. Like, those guys were singing song, like making up a song. They just got the style.
Yeah.
It's like, I couldn't even do that if I sat down for like a day to write. These guys are like dropping it quick, and they're relatively pretty good most of the time.
Yeah, that's Wayne Brady, man. Wayne Brady could do it. And he did, like, sometimes he'd do like a James Brown. He'd do like a Michael Jackson. Oh my goodness.
No, he was good. He carried that show. The other guys were good too, but man, he was definitely the shining star in that show.
Yeah. And the one real fun time was when Robin Williams came on. His one episode that he came on, because I think he was doing 1 hour photo when he was filming the movie, and he just came on, and he just was improvisational. They did all these different games. He was part of it, and it was just fire. It was just fire throughout the show, because it's Robin Williams, right? And there's that just sense of energy, and yeah, it just the combination of those two things was what I wanted this to become, and it's done real well. So, but yeah, no, and every time I'm surprised every time. Sometimes some people, they kind of do need a bit of help, but when you can get people and there's something that you can latch onto and you can just go with it, it works wonders. But anyway, it's almost a 2 hour mark, but
yeah,
I think
have to unfortunately go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on, man.
You're welcome.
I had a blast. If you ever need anybody again, let me know.
Oh yeah. No, and
time,
and before you go, kind of promote yourself again, and then I'll do my thing, and then we'll end with the video. That would be it.
Rumble.com/Reconrat's my Rumble channel.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be on at 10 p.m. tonight, well, Central Time,
right.
So like an hour or so. And then reconrat.live is my website. It has merch store, all that stuff on there. Also, the descriptions on the videos, all my videos have all the links.
Yeah.
That's it, man. I really appreciate you.
No problem. And thank you for coming on. Yeah, and again, his link tree is down below. That links to all the sites. And again, guys, quickly, if you wouldn't mind, please like, share, follow, comment. The engagement helps in bringing more people like Recon, like Tiny Panda, like so many others. And if you want to have the same opportunity, I've got to do this. You got the same opportunity, right? I have a link tree down below. Go to the link tree, find me. I'm right here. I'm right. This is going to be a clown show at this point. But go to the link tree, find my links, find me there. If you want to have the same opportunity, like Reconrat, like Tiny Panda, and so many others, the door is there. All you have to do is take it through. And if you don't want to go to the link tree, leave a comment below in either YouTube or Rumble, because again, it's just that easy. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. Tomorrow is my Pay It Forward stream, and that starts, gosh dang it. And the Pay It Forward stream starts at 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, I will have on a lady named Libby G. Last time she couldn't come because it was during the hurricane that was going on down there. She wasn't hit, but her internet was. So she couldn't.
It hit mine.
Yeah.
Hit me.
And so she couldn't come on, but tomorrow she'll be on at 8 p.m. Eastern. But I hope you guys will be able to join me for my Pay It Forward stream. That's again what we were talking about earlier. So, but thank you again so much, Reconrat, and you are always welcome back. And guys, I appreciate you all being here. So thank you so much. And as always, we play out with One Day With You by Pogo. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
God bless. Bye. here we go.